Okay, so let's talk about Luthen, and I think this is Alexander Skarsgård's character. He's a great actor. He's in everything, man. So I remember him. Do you remember him in Pirates of the Caribbean as Bootstrap Bill? Yeah, he was. He's out of time, Jack. The Kraken's gonna get you. And then he was in another movie.
Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
I can't remember if he's Swedish or Norwegian or Finland or whatever.
It's got to be one of those with a name like Skarsgård.
I can't remember, but he was in another film I can't remember, so that whole point is moot. He's a darn good actor, and I've seen some... Oh, okay, so the original version of Insomnia. Actually, Christopher Nolan's version of that with Al Pacino is a remake.
Oh.
Skarsgård is the original Insomnia movie. It's a foreign language film, and yeah, it's really good. That's all I'm saying. He's a really good actor. So it's super good they got him. So they've kind of surrounded... That's another thing that's good. So Diego Luna is the guy that plays Cassian Andor. They've surrounded him with people that know how to act, and Skarsgård's amazing at everything he does, and he carries weight and a presence. So his character is basically he's a rebel where he's trying to start the rebellion, right? Getting the network together.
He's a mastermind, basically. He's built very carefully. He's like a chess player. He wants to...
He's playing 4D chess.
Yeah, he's playing 4D chess while everybody else is playing checkers. So he's building this incredibly elaborate network, and he's got eyes and ears all over the place. And he's not just trying to build this network. He's trying to bring other groups into it. And it's clear that he doesn't really have any regard for his own safety. At the end of the day, he's so dedicated to this that he'll put himself at risk. He'll keep himself safe just for the sake of continuing the work. But if it comes down to it, he's building something that can continue even after they finally get him.
And then he sacrifices a couple times different things where it's after the heist episode 6, the Empire decides to clamp down a lot, right? Now we're going to just grab people willy-nilly and take them to jail, which is what happens to Cassian Andor. And so his Luthen's partner who is there, I can't remember her name, Kara or Leia or something.
Something like that.
She's basically people are going to get hurt. No, I'm sorry, Mon Mothma said that. It's people are going to get hurt. And he's just
people will suffer.
He's I'm counting on it. I hope so.
Yeah, that's what we want.
We want that. We want people to get tired of this crap and, go out there and, start the rebellion and whatnot. And then he also tries to recruit Saul Guerrero, who has always been an extremist. And, he was introduced in the Clone Wars and, we're going to win at any cost type of thing. And now he carries that into his small section of the rebellion. And then he goes to him and he's so actually the weapons I was going to give you, I can't really give you those. And we got this guy and we're going to sacrifice all those guys because then if we don't, then we'll be revealed. And he's okay.
Yeah.
So he's just willing to do whatever it takes, Luthen is, to start it all going.
Yeah, they have this, some other group, we never see them, some other unnamed group of people is planning a raid on some power station, and through their actions, they know that if we warn them, then that will tip them off that that'll just tip them off that there's eyes and ears around, and they'll look even harder and they'll discover us. If we just let those guys march to their deaths, then they'll just think, oh yeah, we're doing a great job. Everything's under control.
Yeah.
But I had to chuckle though when Saul Guerrero's it's the number seemed to change. It was either 30 or 50. They're 50 men, 30 men. I'm this is Star Wars. 50 men is small potatoes.
Yeah.
People die in groups.
Billions.
People die by the hundreds of thousands at a moment's notice.
They blow up a
all
planet
the time.
like that. Planet killers are normal in Star Wars.
It's but that's one of the cool things that Andor is able to do.
Yeah, they carry weight.
They bring a humanity to the show.
Carries weight.
And in the Clone Wars, when 50 clones get murked, you don't bat an eye at it. When thousands of stormtroopers get blown up, it's you don't think about oh, those guys have those are people. They've
There's
got
not,
families.
There's not so many consequences.
They're just the
right?
faceless. It's like, they're just cannon fodder. That's what they're for.
And then quite literally, like in the sequels,
But then in
right,
this
where they're just
show,
running them all down.
they do such a good job with building up, humanity as a theme. When they're like, oh man, are we willing to let 30 dudes just up and die? It's like that actually becomes a question.
Right.
And that's good writing.
And it's good writing for Luthen too. I mean, but that's his character, right? He's just willing to. He's going to see this through to the end. This is his mission. Yeah. This is his quest. And then at the end, now he kind of. That was one thing I was kind of confused on. At the end, he chooses to actually go and try to kill Andor, I guess. But even though he had another person there to assassinate him.
Yeah, well, Andor, basically Andor's become the link to discovering this rebellion. That's why the ISB wants him so bad. And that's why, Luthen and his people decide that they need to get rid of him.
Right.
But obviously by the end, this huge riot breaks out and all hell breaks loose and everybody just kind of seems to change their mind.
I wanted to bring this up because the internet, of course, the internet loves Jedi, right? They're looking for any little thing in Andor. Is he a Jedi? Is this a Jedi? Could this be a Jedi? So now I'm going to ask you, is Luthen secretly a Jedi? Because there are
I haven't heard that, but
there are theories out there. He has that cane thing that extends, and then at one point he has his little baton thing. Yeah, I'm dead serious. These are people bringing this up. Was that a lightsaber at one point?
Well, see, here's the thing. Star Wars fans over the years have been, conditioned to be Easter egg hunters. This is what they do.
Yes.
Everything, because it doesn't matter what it is. Somehow everything's got to be connected to everything else. So it's just kind of part and parcel for it. So
sure.
And Luthen is going to be probably always the biggest victim of this with Andor because he's got that.
He's got a robot.
Well, no, he's got this really cool antique store that he's using as a front for his operation.
Yep.
And I haven't seen anything about him being possibly a Jedi, but there's plenty of things floating around on YouTube of. What's really cool is if you look at that, you see the Starkiller armor from the video game, and it's like, and all of these things, and I actually wanted to bring this up at some point.
Yeah.
These things don't make things canon or make other things canon or serve as a connection between anything.
I don't think
what they are is fun nods to the material, and what that shows me is that the people making this show know the material.
Yeah, and
they know the material and they care about the material.
Right. They wanted to show it. There's even some of the Gungan shields from episode 1 back there.
Yeah, I haven't really spent much time looking around myself, but if you get on YouTube, people are pointing it all out.
Videos, breakdown of the antique shop.
But it's cool. It's
fun, yeah.
And it's not,
They just raided the storehouses. They went and raided the warehouse and pulled a bunch of stuff out.
And that's all it's supposed to be.
That's fun.
It's just supposed to be fun.
But is he a Jedi?
But could he be a Jedi? It's like, what would that add at
well,
this
actually,
point?
yeah. And the other thing, too, was, he had a kyber crystal. Could that have come from his lightsaber? Let's pretend he was a Jedi.
It's like, what? I have to ask you,
it doesn't make any difference.
What would that add to the story?
It actually would disappoint me. I'd be like, that's dumb.
It would be like, of course. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, can't you not do that?
Okay, so he's a superhero with supernatural abilities. That really takes away from the theme.
Yeah, at one point, remember he goes to see Saw Gerrera, and he's like, they're like, hey, you got that weapon, we need to take your weapon or whatever. That's the alien guy, it's just, doesn't he have, does he speak English or an alien language? I can't remember.
I don't know.
But anyway, so he hands the thing that looks like a handle of a lightsaber, or could have been at one point. So everyone's like, arrows pointing at it, And it's like, I don't know, I just thought, if he turns out to be a Jedi, I'll be disappointed. If he was at one point, I hope not.
Yeah, that would be dumb.
It would take away.
I like
from
it
the
better
originality.
that he's a wealthy antique dealer.
Has a lightsaber ship though.
Has completely he's
the lasers go out and he can spin it and cut everything up.
And that clips all over the internet because Star Wars apparently are still just a bunch of 13. They're all still just a bunch of 13-year-old boys.
You can only have lightsabers and Jedi, and Anakin is space Jesus. It's like, I mean, that's like that. Like, unless it's like I was saying. Some people just aren't going to like the show.
It's like nothing. You never see anything
Jedi
online.
And Sith,
and
that's fine.
Up until Luthen blows up a couple TIE fighters, and then that clip's suddenly all over the internet.
Right, a lot of people are going to find this boring because, dear God, we actually do some character development. We don't go on a side quest every 5 seconds.
So let's call this what it is.
There's no Baby Yoda.
Andor is Star Wars for adults.
It is. It just is.
But yeah, Luthen's an interesting character.
Luthen's great.
He is
absolutely amazing.
His entire his character is like he lives a life of constant sacrifice. Like he looks like he's obviously got some means.
How about the greatest speech in Star Wars?
Yeah, so he's obviously super wealthy. He's got the coolest ship in the entire galaxy.
Coolest wigs.
It's obvious he's got the best wigs. He's got everything he has is great.
He's got great style.
He's got a cool ship that's way cooler than the Millennium Falcon or anything else you've seen. He's got the coolest clothes but everything I think it was in the first or second episode. He's you think he's just this arms dealer or something like that. He's the buyer, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets in his ship and he puts this robe on and he puts this wig on, and at first you're like, well, what the hell is he doing? He looks ridiculous.
And he looks in the mirror.
And then he looks in the mirror and he goes, he puts on this cheesy fucking smile, and you're like, what the hell is he doing? And then he goes, all of a sudden he's this antique dealer, and you're like, oh, I see. His entire life is a front.
Yeah.
He's setting up this whole network, and every
he probably has many identities. We only saw a couple.
Yeah, he's living this double life, and everything he does is about this cause that he's developed. So when you find out that that one fella in the ISB is also an agent,
that was great. So there's actual spy shit going on, and double agents and stuff. And this guy's like, hey, I want out. So he goes to meet Luthen, and then we get one of the greatest speeches in Star Wars ever, because I believed every second of it. It was great.
Yeah,
I was
he's pretty much like, yeah, no, you're too important. I can't just let you stop.
Yeah, and so it's you have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice. You have to stay in the ISB. If it's been too long of sacrifice, there's too much of an investment. And he's like, well, what have you sacrificed? And Luthen's, just everything. Everything, you idiot.
He just starts. He's like, love. He starts. I think the first thing he says is love,
and then
he
just family, friends,
lists everything.
Everything.
And he's like, what have I sacrificed? Everything. My whole life is a lie.
Yeah.
And
it was great.
I'm constantly in danger. Yes, super cool.
Yeah, Luthen.
Super compelling.
Freaking amazing.
But after a while, you're thinking the same way Saul Guerrero is. You're like, where does this guy not have spies? He's like you have people everywhere, don't you? Even in the ISB. I'll bet you have someone here. Who is it?
Yeah, is it him? Is it him?
Is it him?
Just a quick little talk about Forrest Whitaker playing Saul Guerrero. He's having a great time. Saul Guerrero is fully realized and actually developed more. That was one of the pitfalls, I think, or one of the things I didn't like about Rogue One was Saul Guerrero just kind of goes, I'll run no more. For what? I mean, unless you've seen the Clone Wars TV show where you see him develop as a young guy and then slowly develop into this, I'm going to destroy the Empire completely and, whatever, become this extremist guy, you'll never know. If you're just watching Rogue One, you're like, well, from what? And then he just allows the test blast from the Death Star, kill him and because he's in the tower. And that was dumb. So he was underused, or he shouldn't have died.
Save the dream.
Save the dream. Yeah, but in this, it works. And I think he's actually a little bit more grounded, actually. He's not as... he doesn't have the light on his face the entire time. It's more like...
It's not completely unhinged.
Lie to me. But then again, maybe by that time... Well, what was that one scene with the pilot where it was what's the weird... What's the octopus scene? What is that? I can't remember the name of that creature. The
octopus scene?
Yeah, remember that? Where it's going around the pilot?
No.
You'll know if you're lying.
Oh.
Yeah, what is the name of that?
Oh, yeah. It's he'll know. That's what it was.
Yeah, he's like, the what? The what?
I forgot.
No, there's a name to it. Damn it. Can't remember the name.
We can Google it real quick.
Nah. Put a link. Put it in the comments if you can remember the name of that creature, because maybe we'll remember later on. All right, so we're gonna talk real quick about things.
One thing that the comments are all going to say is, you guys are talking about the show, but you can't remember anything. You don't remember anybody's name. You don't remember.
Oh, I know. I always throw that right back in your face. Well, you seem to keep watching the show if you hate it. You got to watch the show to review every episode. That's what a review show is.
So there's the caveat.
It's called hate watching.
Here's the caveat. Here's the disclaimer. I've seen all of Andor. I watched every episode one time.
Yeah, we've seen the show.
And this is how much I've gotten out of it. I didn't sit down and pick apart every single frame so that we could be super nerds and talk about Easter eggs and shit that gets clicks.
We'll do that eventually.
I'm just here to talk about how the show is worth watching. Like I got a lot out of it through one watch.
Right. We
have interesting characters, interesting writing, interesting set pieces, and a show that is obviously made by people who like Star Wars. So yeah, I don't remember the names of things. I don't remember a lot of stuff anyway. That's just the way I am.
Well, there is a lot. I mean, you could say the same thing if you're watching, like House of the Dragon or any of these other shows. You got the names of all the characters. I think you can forgive that. You can't remember the name of every planet, every character. You remember the planet, right? You remember the planet itself, like what's on it.
Well, yeah.
That's what actually matters.
So the amount of things that you're able to take away from this because it was engaging entertainment. I remember. I might not remember every little detail, but I remember enough.